All right, so I always like to cover the bays in my videos. That's an important part of doing a conversion. That's what you got going on down below.
Originally, this first bay was held the generator fuel tank for the old generator, but when I pulled it out, I decided to put a small refrigerator and an ice maker in the first bay here, and then I added storage for. We just recently bought a an outdoor grill, or I guess an outdoor fire pit, propane fire pit, and we do cooking with um, an old Weber, small Weber grill,
That's what I got.
and they work great.
Yep,
They work fantastic.
they don't take a lot of room. And what's that guy up there? I'm curious. Is that a.
That is a fire pit.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's a fire pit. Just bought it recently, tried it out, made sure it worked, and it worked great. Puts up about a flame about 3 feet tall if you really want it that tall.
Is that a central vacuum?
That is a vacuum system Bissell, a garage vac. It's a wet or dry, and I have it hosed up underneath the refrigerator. The hose is coiled up there, and we can vacuum from the front of the bus to the back of the bus on the inside, and behind that is an electric water heater, 19-gallon water heater. I don't know if you can see it back there.
Oh, I can see a little bit of it.
Yeah,
There.
just a household water heater. And the next bay is the black and gray combined mixed tank. That's a brand new freshwater tank. Uh, the 100-gallon black and gray mixed tank is an old round aluminum fuel tank from a diesel truck that has been in here ever since I bought it. I've just never, it's worked all this time, and it's one of those things that you think you'll get to later on
I see
to make it more efficient.
Electrical panels here, so you're obviously 50 amp short cord with the 220.
Yep, yep. And this is the original location. I decided not to move it. Too much to change out, and so I just went ahead and left it there, and then added the circuit breaker down there for the washer and dryer.
Fuel tank.
And then we have a 140-gallon fuel tank. This is where they put them in a Model 1. And I plumbed up here for the generator, which we'll show you in a minute, the pickup and return lines, plumb that into the main tank.
And that was kind of an interesting project. We were talking about that earlier, and I asked you how you managed to get those holes drilled and pickup tubes down in there. And
well, very interesting way that I went about and did that. Because I could not get a drill in this area right here to drill the necessary holes in preparation for the pickup and return, I cut a hole in the floor underneath the dryer and was able to be directly over the tank to drill all the holes, and I just used pipe flanges. Got this idea from Pearlie Benson, who did his coach that way, and I used a step bit and some grease to keep all the shavings from getting down inside the tank, and sealed up the pipe flanges with RTV sealant, and used flexible rubber lines to copper lines that go all the way back to the generator. Just installed this generator a couple weeks ago. It's a 13 kW, made by Ryco out of Eugene. Very well built, very well designed. They have great service at Ryco. Very good people to deal with. So I had to have a little bit of help, and I had some questions, and they sent me everything I needed. This was the bay that used to have the original Coach Air system in it, but it had been removed prior to my ownership, and this is where I decided to put the generator.
that's a real nice generator.
It's very quiet, very efficient. About 3 years ago, I met a fella down at Quartzsite, and he had an '01 Eagle that had a Detroit 8V92 silver, 475 horsepower engine that had about 2,000 miles on a complete rebuild. Um, so it's got a lot of new stuff in it, new radiator, and so I made the swap. I had to modify the upper area for the turbo because I couldn't slide it in, and I did not want to remove the turbo. So I modified it and cut it in so that I could just slide the whole engine in and out if I need to.
You can access that from under your bed?
Yes.
Nice.
The bed has a hydraulic lift system so that the bed lifts up, stays up, and then I just pull the doghouse out from the cover over the engine to do any necessary work that I need to do.
So I recall several years ago you did this swap yourself. I think you were doing it out in the desert in Bend. Is that right?
No, this swap here was done just down below Virginia City and Silver City, Nevada.
Was that the one before this?
That was this one.
No, the one that you did in Bend? What am I thinking of?
No, the first swap I did with an 8V71 I did up in Vancouver, Washington.
Okay.
So this is the third engine I've had in a coach, and it's my last one.
Should outlive you.
Oh yeah. No, it's in great shape. Plenty of power.
What was it you were doing in Bend? Maybe you were painting it. Was that it?
No, I just did the roof coat, upper roof coat, and then I went around and added white nude to all the silver siding too. I was staying over at my brother's place in Bend at that time.
So your buddy's got an interesting little thing hiding over here.
A little project, a friend of mine that this is his property.
There's a 8V71
8V71.
sitting on a bus cradle there. Kind of an interesting configuration there. All right.
One thing I do want to mention too, in my YouTube channel, I have a video describing what I did to brighten up the lights on the back of the coach and also the toe. And I installed a relay system up here that I found online. There's 4 relays up there, and I've got direct power coming from the alternator, so I've got about 13 volts coming to it, and everything is a lot brighter.
Just gets them a little more direct path to the juice.
Yep.
Well, over the years, you've done a lot of work to this coach. I mean, you converted the inside. You've replaced the engine twice.
Yes, twice.
You painted the outside.
Yes.
You put in a generator. A lot of work. You've probably forgotten more than most of us know currently. So. And you've got.
It's one of those love-hate relationships. When you start a project, at least with me, you like to see it through and make it better as you go.
Yep. I like to say it's like having a classic car and an old house rolled into one.
Yep. If you don't like your neighbors, you just move. Well, on this side, you'll see the battery bay. It's got 2 fairly new 8Ds in it now. A lot of this is going to get changed, I hope, eventually, but for right now, it is what it is.
Electrical work's kind of my specialty. I tend to do a bit more of that than some people.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of a nerd like that. So those are your start batteries. Now, do you have coach batteries?
I do not right now, no.
Just run them off the same.
Well, right now I don't run anything. I don't have the inverter wired up or anything like that. That's a project that, in fact, leaving tomorrow for a trip for about 6 months. Going to be heading back to Eagle Bus Rally in Kansas, and then one in Branson, Missouri. So hopefully over the next 6 months I can get the inverter installed and batteries and get everything wired up.
So you got a couple, this is your plumbing bay here. You got a couple pumps in there.
Yeah, I've got one pump for the house and one pump for the outside.
For the outside.
Yeah, so that I can have water. I just used an old shower head right here.
Ah, okay.
Instead, I eventually would like to put a sink in, but for right now, that's how I can access water from the outside when we're boondocking.
Did you say you have combined gray black?
Combined gray black, yes. You know, it's really a personal choice. A lot of people will have a separate black tank, a separate gray water tank. Um, but then you have to be able to flush out your black tank. This way here, when you combine your gray water into the black, it really empties out fairly clean. You don't have to worry about the solids building up or anything like that. I like it, and I've also have a valve there that if I'm out in the desert somewhere, if I'm able to run gray water out on the ground, I can do that too.
Just bypass it altogether.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Yep. That's clever.
Next bay is just basically parts, tools, anything I need to fix anything. I always try and carry spare parts with me, what I can. This is that freshwater system here. You can see the pump up there. It's a regular 110, but it'll pump that fresh drinking water all the way up to the kitchen sink. So we don't have to buy bottles of water anymore.
You want to tell us a bit about how you painted the coach?
I painted the coach in 2004 in Abilene, Texas, outside. Took me about 6 months really to get everything prepped and ready to spray. I decided to use the red and the blue color metallic on the banding, and then just paint the coach white. It's a Chevrolet color. It was about 100 degrees when I finished painting it.
Ugh.
Very hard to see. After I shot the first coat over primer, I could see everything real well, but the second coat was very difficult to see. It was just so bright.
So it's did you use a epoxy primer?
I used epoxy primer and a PP&G all in one basically. There's
single stage?
Yeah, single stage. I did not go with the base coat clear coat. And it's really held up well over 6 years now.
And the primer is a two-part epoxy primer?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's amazing stuff.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Well, that is the same way that I did the roof on my old coach. Was epoxy primer and a single stage PPG white.
Yeah, that's good
just
stuff.
Like this. Yep.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, and speaking about the roof, I back in 2004, right after I bought the bus, I decided to use a white elastomeric roof coating made by Henry's. I painted the center section of the roof up above, and it held up real well. In fact, I just added a second coat about 4 years ago now, and it leaves a nice surface to walk on. It's not rough, but yet it is a little bumpy. So if it's wet up there, you're still able to walk around and have good traction. And it also helped keep the coach cool in hot weather. And I just recently, last week, added 2 Zip D awnings to the bedroom windows too, and that's going to help a lot in the summertime.
All right. Well, I appreciate you showing her to us.
Well, you're welcome. Glad you could stop by and visit.
Good to finally do this after all these years. Thanks, Paul.
You bet. Thank you, Scott.